Well, I got another little project on the go. I ordered a moccasin kit from Lure of the North out of Ontario, and I've been procrastinating putting it together. And now that winter is on us, I just want to make sure that I have my mucklucks ready to go. So I'll bring you along for this project and show you how easy it is. We'll see how easy it is. So I ordered the heavy elk hide, and it comes with these templates, and you have these numbers that correlate to this chart right here. So I ordered the size 12. Where's the size 12 right there? And if you go across here, 30.6 centimeters, but this is in reference to the template. So I'm going to use template 3 and 3. So this here is number 3, as you can see, and number 3, and I'll put those together. Well, there you have it. There's the patterns drawn onto the leather, and I've marked the outside of the pattern. Once I have the pattern set, I mark the leather on the outside so it correlates with these lines, which is very important because those are your initial stitches in putting the muckluck together. So that's what it looks like there. So I tried to use a material marker initially, as you can see right this line right here, but it was a lot of effort and it really didn't show up very well. So I just went to a blue ballpoint pen, and it was very efficient. So the lines that I marked on the outside of the pattern, I'm just going to extend to the inside here to indicate where I'm going to be starting my initial stitches. Now this mark is going to line up with the toe part right here. Okay, when we start putting it together, and then same with these marks right here. So they're all going to line up nicely, and it's going to come together perfectly, and I'll be phoning Lure of the North and saying thank you so much. You made it simple and easy. So I've decided to change the orientation of the tab here, simply because when you flip this over to the other side, I want to make sure that all my grains are going in the same direction and matching. I think it'll be more aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and I think I'd be a hell of a lot more satisfied because I am aesthetically driven. So I've cut the pattern out, and now what I'm going to do is take these wonderful needles by Lure of the North. I'm sure they didn't make the needles, but that's a really lovely tag, and they are designed to be used on leather needles. So I don't know if you can capture that, but they have kind of a triangular tip, heavy duty, and like I said, those lines, so that line right there will line up with that, and that'll be my first stitch right in there. And then of course this line here will line up with that stitch. That'll be my second and third, opposite on the other side. So I want the grain of the elk hide on the outside to be showing, so I put the inside together face to face like that, and then when it's sewn together, that's what's going to be exposed. So the outside of it'll be the sole, that's the tongue, it'll all be exposed. Now you could, if it pleased you, you could just flip that over, but I recommend that if you're going to do it this way to have that contrast, is that you you trace on the green side, so all your marks are hidden once it's sewn together. So I've decided that I will add some needle nose pliers to the equation, simply because these needles are super sharp, and I pulled and my hand returned back quickly on the needle, and now I have blood on my moccasins, mucklucks there and there, and it happened so fast I didn't really feel it, but my finger is bleeding quite nicely actually. So these needles are super sharp and easy to punch through. It's just getting the entire needle through with the thread attached to the back. So be careful, guys. So I got the 3 points sewn together, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather these up and put a pleat in there and put a stitch there. It'll be a little bit tighter than that, and that will continue. I'll continue to do that right to this point, and those will be straight stitches, not straight, but yeah, no pleats. Well, at this point I'm going to start puckering, and I'm going to have to hold these together and follow that pattern or method all the way along until I get to this point, in which point I will just stitch that down and back with the whip stitch, and yeah. So once all this is puckered up, it'll lay nicely, and it will accept the insulated sole. Stand by. Well, I'm not happy with the first attempt at puckering. However, I'm going to remove or undo the work that I've done, and then I'm going to do it correctly. So let me just show you what I'm not happy with. Well, I've already started to undo it, but you see right here at the toe, I haven't puckered enough, and then I have so much material left here in such a small space that these puckers are going to be way too big. As you can see, those puckers compared to the puckers at the toe, I want to reverse that. So I'm just going to undo all of this to this point and then do it correctly, or in a way that pleases me anyway. Now, as per the directions in the book that comes with this kit, I've gotten my insole on and put it inside the Muccasin boot, and I'm pulling this on as best I can, forming the tip to the toe, to ensure that my entire felt liner is going to fit. And take this pen and mark the heel. That's right there. So that way I'll know where to cut this out, or to make my cuts here, and this will fold or wrap around the heel and attach just like that. And this bottom piece right here will have a bit of a cutout, and that'll fold up onto the heel just like that. Okay, let's make this happen. So I put the mark there and followed the instructions, and I went and marked the center, 3/4 inch on each side of the center and 3/4 inch in, created a half moon. And what will happen is I'll sew this edge and this edge together, and then come back, and that flap will be sewn onto the back of the muckluck. Stay tuned. Well, there we have it. I got one side done. With all the interruptions, it's only taken me a few hours. But it's done. And I'm going to finish the other moccasin and get on with the uppers. Okay, so as per the directions in the Lure of the North, I have laid out my pattern. I've taken all the measurements accordingly and started cutting out. So here we go. It's happening. It's coming together. So I've made some marks, and I've marked where my decorative ribbon is going to be placed, and this is going to fold down onto itself like that, and that'll be sewn in place. And so this decorative ribbon will be sewn on right there, just like that. Oops, sorry. Just like that. All the way along. And this bias tape will be folded in half and then sewn on the bottom there. So that will just wrap all the way around like so after I open this up completely. And I will use extra pins as per the directions right around here to ensure that I have that this canvas goes nice and deep into the folded bias, and I want the folds right in there. So we're asking the bias to bend in an unnatural way, and we're going to force it to do so by using pins. So let's see how we do. Well, now that I have everything in place, I have used lots of pins here to hold that in place. That's an unnatural bend for this bias, and pinned along here. I know that the bias is going to meet on the other side, so because I ironed that, I pinned my decorative ribbon in place after drawing a line that's going to be buried. And yeah, so I'm pretty excited about this. Time to pull out the sewing machine and figure out how to use it. Well, here's a gator partway done. Got the bias tape sewn on there and the decorative tape. Give you a close-up here. What I used is a synthetic upholstery thread to sew that on. Now, I'm not a seamstress, but I'm doing my best. And here, I really like the added hint of gold upholstery to the decoration. I think it adds some richness to that. I'm so disappointed that my sewing machine decided to not work. I had a buttonholer that I was going to use on these buttonholes. However, I am going to have to do it by hand. I broke my needle trying to use the buttonholer, and now my sewing machine is not working, so I'm not sure how I'm going to sew this. Might have to do that by hand as well. But nonetheless, stay tuned. We're gonna get through this. So I measured from the center. Can you see that? From the center, half an inch there, half an inch there. This is where my my sewing seam is going to be on that blue line. And I'm going to cut 3/4 of an inch long slice along there for my buttonhole. So I position this and now you don't want to go too big. So there it is. And I'll just use the sinew as directed in the instruction book and go ahead and sew that up. So I've gone around once, I'm going to go around twice. So one of the things I noticed about when I first passed through is you have to be quite generous with the amount of material you're using. If you get too close to the edge, the canvas is going to fray. So that was part of the reason I did a second round. So my next attempt will be I'll be more careful of that. So just take my knife and insert it and just cut to the length. Endeavor to persevere. So I got my sewing machine figured out, and I've gone ahead and did a little bit of work, tried it out, and it seems to be working really well. So let me just show you what I've done. So I was telling you about the buttonholer a while ago. I've gone ahead and just used what sinew I had left and completed the buttonholes by hand. A lot easier and a hell of a lot less effort than what I put into trying to figure out that buttonholer. And cut this according to directions and pinned it so that I don't have any movement. I've gone ahead and taken some some material marker and marked 1/2 inch along where I'm going to be sewing throughout the length of the gaiter. And this is the end result right here. Look at that. Imperfections. So in the book it says embrace your imperfections. Well, let me tell you, I've a lot to embrace here. But there's my stitching. So let's carry on. And there you have it. Nice even stitch. Now, we'll just clean up these edges, because I want it to be perfect as I can make it, or do it as well as I can, and do it right. So I'm going to put another line of stitches in here, just to make sure that it's all good. And you can see from the edges, on the edges here, how they fray. This canvas is fraying. And on that note, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some bias tape and just sew it on there, as it's really bothering me. So I completed the gaiters, and I'm quite pleased with the outcome. There's a few items held within to embrace, as they say, but I like using the upholstery thread. I think it adds a nice little touch all the way down to bias. And speaking of bias, here is the inside of that, and I think it finished off quite nicely. Cleans it up quite a bit. So I'm happy that I figured out my sewing machine and got that going, and tomorrow is another day, and I will sew those on to the lower part of my mucklucks. Alright, you guys have a good night for now. Matching my uppers to my lowers. What I've done is I've tacked there, the very back, went to the front, found the center. As you can see, this is inside out, and I'm folding my bias tape into the moccasin like that. You can see that, and I want to ensure that you can see some of that bias tape right there. Let me come through, and I had to, because I ran out of sinew, I had to find some other sail twine or sail thread and change my needle. So this is still a functional needle, and to do that I have to get this started. I take my pliers, get my pliers through there, or get my needle through there, and just that, so it comes right through. And I need my pliers, pick that up, make it nice and tight, and I will do that with every single whip stitch that I make. Now I'm at the seam of where the vamp meets the bottom portion. I'm going to reinforce this side of the vamp. Let's see. I'll reinforce each side of that seam. So I'll go through 3 times there and 3 times here. And apparently those are the stress points of these muclucs. Well, now I managed to complete attaching the leather bottoms to the canvas tops, and I think it's going to work out good. Let's turn it inside out and inspect it. There it is. So the lace goes through here. I'll lace up the boot. I also have the top tie that needs to be installed. And then these are ready to wear. Well, this is the last phase of my muclucs for now. And Lure of the North sends everything you need. So these here for the ties on top, and those are the laces. If you look, they have these nice coatings right at the tip, so that this material doesn't fray. So I'm going to use my safety pin. Where is that safety pin? There we go. And I'm going to thread this through the to the top of the mucluc. So one of the tips that I learned off of the Lure of the North YouTube channel is to take a look and see which way this seam is lying right here. So what you want to do is you want to approach that with your while you're threading in this direction, so your needle safety pin doesn't get hung up underneath this. If you were to come from this direction, it'll slide right over. Okay, let's do this. The safety pin came undone inside. There we go. Even that up. Like so. We're just completing this second mucluc, threading of it anyway. Got a lot of difficulty, as you can see. There you go. And that's done. Well, the final phase of this kit is at hand, and that is to lace this up. So, that little tongue, let's tie this up. this little loop at the back of your muckluck. Just slide that right through there. Balance your lace. Come around the front. Tighten that up. On the back. And you just back and forth right there, just like that. That is going to give you a nice appearance to your muckle. I gotta tell you, I think these look super classy, and can't wait to wear them. So, in addition to the muckluck kit, you can buy a rubber stuff, and I've done that, and I'll put that in a separate video. This is the finished product of the Lure of the North muckluck kit. I'm quite pleased with how they turned out, and in the book it reads to embrace the imperfections, and I've certainly have a lot to embrace here. Nonetheless, I got it done. The kit is super simple, and a bit of effort. You end up with a pretty nice product. I've used twice as much sinew as I needed, and therefore I ran out of sinew and had to resort to waxed sail twine, which is fine. And so here they are, modeling for you. Check them out. Isn't that nice? I'm super happy about it. Well, thanks for watching, you guys, and joining me on this little journey. I also want to thank Lure of the North for producing such a great product. Simple instructions, simple steps, a little bit of effort with my elk hide. It's a heavier hide, and I went with the heavier hide because I wanted that longevity in the muckluck, and was willing to put in the extra effort. There's softer hides that you would need to use pliers or other tools to get a needle through, but I am very happy with this product. This is not an instructional video. This is just simply me putting a kit together from Lure of the North, and just to share that it's really not that hard. I'm happy with the product. I'm looking forward to wearing it. I am going to produce another video where I'll be putting the rubber compound and rubberizing the bottom of these mucklucks for even longer wear. What I'm hoping is that these will be passed down from me to my kids, and if so fortunate, maybe their kids will have them hanging on the wall. So anyway, enjoy, and have a great day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.